In 2021, the US experienced a timber crisis that sent housing prices into the stratosphere, triggered by tariffs blocking Canadian lumber. The crisis forced American builders to overpay for substandard domestic wood. At the same time, many dismissed it as an isolated misstep in trade policy. But now, 4 years later, the chain reaction ignited by tariff war has escalated into a full-blown economic avalanche, engulfing the entire nation. From Detroit's automobile factories to Silicon Valley's takeovers, from Mississippi's farmlands to the port of Los Angeles, the US is now entrenched in a systematic collapse with no apparent escape route. On April 2, 2025, the Trump administration imposed reciprocal tariffs on 57 economies. This policy, rooted in the deeply flawed premise that trade deficit ratio equals tariff rate, laid bare the administration's ignorance of fundamental economic principles. Under the guise of protecting American industries, policymakers have effectively severed the nation's own supply chains. As S&P Global's average cash S1 these cost burdens lead to long-term structural changes. The automotive industry bore the brunt of the tariffs. Detroit's engineers hit with a 25% tariff on Mexican transmission parts. Grasped Proxima Simon Gear's warning, there's no such thing as American car. In a particularly ironic twist, Ford invested $500 million in a Mexican plant to avoid tariffs, only to see the battery cost for its electronic F-150 Lightning truck surge by 18% due to lacking production capacity, forcing it to withdraw a $12 billion performance outlook. Meanwhile, small and medium-sized automotive firms relying on imported parts have already been decimated by the tariff burden. The administration's decision to slap a 125% tariff on Chinese tech products was akin to detonating an economic nuclear bomb over Silicon Valley. With 66% of laptops and 73% of smartphones dependent on Chinese supply chains, tech giants like Apple and Dell found themselves starved of essential components. When consumers realized the iPhone 16 came with a $2,000 price tag, and only laptops left at Best Buy were defective made-in-Vietnam models, it became clear that the much-touted manufacturing reshoring was nothing more than an empty political slogan. The plight of Middle West farmers epitomizes the absurdity of tariff governance. China's abrupt cancellation of 6.4 million tons of wood pulp orders and a rejection of 9 million tons of soybeans left Iowa's warehouses overflowing with unsold crops. Peter Friedman, executive director of AGTC, exclaimed, "This is not approaching a crisis. It is already a full-blown crisis." The statistics were even more staggering. Exports from the port of Oregon plummeted by 51%, while demurrage fees at the port of Tacoma surged by 300%. Red state voters, who once chanted tariffs makes US farmer great, now facing rotting soybeans in their fields and promised government subsidies eroded by rampant inflation. Amidst this chaos, the Trump gross profit-making behavior has sparked widespread skepticism. In April 2025, Trump posted on social media claiming, "This is a great time to buy." Shortly thereafter, he announced a suspension of tariffs, causing the stock prices of his affiliated enterprises to soar by 21% and 77% in a single day. Critics have denounced this policy market profit cycle as outright legal plunder. Many now question whether the administration is deliberately manipulating policy to create market volatility for personal and insider gain. At its core, this crisis is a result of myopic and destructive political actions that blatantly disregarded objective economic laws. The Trump administration treated tariffs as a political weapon, forgetting the intricate interdependence of global supply chains. What began as a timber price surge in 2021 has snowballed into a complete economic collapse by 2025. Beneath the flashy facade of protectionism lies in the grim reality of industry hollowing out. Beyond the bombastic American First rhetoric, as the American people left to shoulder the burden of shattered promises. In a globalized world, any attempt to sever the economic lifelines that bind nations together will ultimately lead to self-destruction. Politicians who wield tariffs as a tool for personal gain must reckon with an unchanging truth. Economic laws do not bow to political whims.